Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host, with another marvelous video. Over the past few years, various characters have stepped up and acted as the White Ranger across different seasons of the Power Rangers franchise. Tommy Oliver is undoubtedly the most famous White Ranger, and he's also the longest-serving Power Ranger of all time. He was first introduced in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and he's ever since appeared in countless seasons of the show and even played countless Rangers. Jason David Frank played the role of Tommy Oliver, and even though he's passed away, his legacy lives on in the form of the White Ranger. Today, we'll explore his origins and story arcs and look at the various characters who have picked the mantle of the White Ranger. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Origins of White Ranger, Journey from Evil to the Good Side. Tommy Oliver appeared in the 5th issue of Mighty Morphin Comics that was released in 2021, and this comic covers Tommy's life before he got involved with the Rangers. While not much is known about his early life, it was established that Tommy was adopted into the Oliver family as a kid, and not much was revealed about his biological parents. After losing his parents and being left alone, Tommy used to live on the streets when another homeless man stole his belongings one day. Tommy was eventually taken in by an orphanage, where he met his friend Tyler around the age of 7. After a few years, Tommy was adopted by the Olivers, and he soon started attending school in Angel Grove. He was chosen by the villain Rita Repulsa, who transformed him into the evil Green Ranger. This story arc was covered in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in a 5-part saga titled Green with Evil. In the first part, titled Out of Control, the other Power Rangers, including Jason, gather at the Angel Grove Youth Center for Jason's karate match. Jason participates in a martial arts expo, where he goes against Tommy Oliver, and the two get acquainted with each other for the first time. One of the Rangers, named Kimberly, also finds Tommy attractive, and she runs into him at Angel Grove High School. When two of the school bullies corner Kimberly, Tommy intervenes, shows off his martial arts move, and defeats them. In the meantime, Rita Repulsa also notices Tommy's martial arts skills and sends her army of followers named Putties to corner him and bring him to her moon. Tommy manages to defeat all the Putties, and Rita teleports to Earth to capture Tommy on her own. She uses her magic wand to teleport him back to her moon, coats his body with green wax, and casts a spell that brainwashes him. She then uses the 6th Power Coin, also known as the Dragon Coin, and turns him into the evil Green Ranger. Tommy then travels to the Rangers' command center and downloads a virus named Alpha 5 on their system. He even confronts and defeats the other Power Rangers as this episode ends. For the next few episodes, Tommy's mood gets affected by his newfound identity, and he often ends up being rude to others. Rita even gives him a Sword of Darkness, which helps enhance his powers and ensures he stays under her spell. She then orders Tommy to locate Jason and transport him into the Dark Dimension, where Jason faces the evil Goldar. Eventually, Tommy asks Goldar to step away, and he faces Jason on his own when the other Rangers manage to get Jason out of the Dark Dimension. Rita ends up getting disappointed in Tommy and leaves him in the Dark Dimension for a while. After returning to Angel Grove, Tommy sneaks into the command center and tries to sabotage it while the Rangers are busy fighting Goldar. However, Alpha puts him under stasis lock until the Rangers return, and this lock then reveals his true identity as Tommy Oliver. While Rita managed to free him before the Rangers showed up, Alpha revealed his true identity to the Rangers. In the next part, titled Breaking the Spell, the Power Rangers are shocked upon discovering that Tommy is the evil Green Ranger. Alpha then tells them that he must be under Rita's spell, and Jason even convinces the rest of the Rangers to fight Rita and break the spell. While they split up to find Tommy, Kimberly locates him at the youth center, but he acts indifferent and states that they will all be soon destroyed. While Kimberly returns to report this to the Rangers, Trini rushes to them and informs them about an emergency in the financial district. They soon rush there and discover that Tommy has used his powers to summon the Dragon Zord to destroy the entire city of Angel Grove. As the Rangers struggle to defeat the Dragon Zords, their power coins soon start glowing, which turns out to be an indicator that Zordon, the wise wizard, is back on their side. An earthquake soon breaks out, and the Dino Zords emerge by the Rangers' side. They seem to be restored to full power, and Zordon then teleports the Rangers into their respective Zords' cockpits. They all come together to form one huge Megazord and successfully defeat the Dragon Zord. However, Tommy still refuses to surrender, and Jason then confronts him face to face. He jumps out of his Zord's cockpit and confronts Tommy, and the two soon engage in combat. While Tommy has an advantage due to his Sword of Darkness, Jason uses his Power Sword to knock Tommy's sword out of his hand. He then shoots a blast at the sword and destroys it. breaking Rita's spell over Tommy. The green aura that had surrounded Tommy since he was brainwashed also disappears, and Jason rushes by his side to help him return to reality. Tommy even feels guilty about his actions and tells them that he was only working under Rita's orders, and Jason reassures him and tells him to use his powers to fight for good instead. Even though Tommy is reluctant to dabble with these powers again, the Rangers convince him, and he soon becomes a part of their team. In the meantime, Alpha and Zordon watch this scene from the command center, and Zordon even mentions a prophecy that had predicted that a sixth Ranger would be joining them. He contacts Tommy directly and asks him to use the Dragon Dagger to power for Dragonzord, and the Zord soon recovers and joins the rest of the Rangers' Zords. While Rita declares that she'll have her revenge soon, the 6 Rangers return to the command center and officially welcome Tommy to their team. Zordon even states 3 rules that Tommy must follow as a Power Ranger, and he readily agrees. They give Tommy his wrist communicator, and the saga ends with the 6 Rangers coming together for a group cheer.
That's it. Okay, Zed, I'm ready.
White Ranger and his exploits. While Tommy Oliver initially served as the Green Ranger, he went on countless adventures with the Power Rangers for the first 2 seasons of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Let's explore his story arc and look at his transformation into the White Ranger. Tommy Oliver as the Green Ranger. After joining the team, Tommy often spent time alone and became a loner who preferred to practice karate and other martial arts by himself. Over some time, he got pretty close to Jason, even though they started as rivals, and the two even developed a special friendship after working on missions together. Tommy bonded with Zach, Trini, and Billy too, and even started dating Kimberly after some time. While walking with Kimberly, Tommy was once attacked by Goldar and then taken to the Dark Dimension. Goldar told him that the material that turned Tommy into the Green Ranger was magic wax, which was linked with his ability to morph into a Ranger. Rita had turned the wax into a green candle and warned him that his powers would soon deplete once the candle burned out. Rita then orders Goldar to kidnap Tommy and keep him in the Dark Dimension, while Tommy realizes that the only way out of this is by extinguishing the candle before it burns out. Rita also sends an army of Cyclops to stop the rest of the Rangers from rescuing Tommy, but the Rangers manage to defeat the Cyclops. However, they're pretty late, and the candle burns out, and Zordon finally steps in and tells Tommy to hand his Dragon Power coin to another Ranger who has a strong link to their power grid. Tommy gives the coin to Jason, enabling him to draw upon the Green Ranger's powers. While Tommy has to then step down as a Ranger, he continues to stay friends with the rest of them. During a story arc titled Return of an Old Friend, the Power Rangers face a challenge when Rita Repulsa kidnaps their parents to force them into giving up their power coins. While they hand over these coins, Rita doesn't release their parents, and the Rangers then rely on Tommy Oliver to return as the Green Ranger and defeat Rita. While the Rangers talk about how they've lost their coins, Jason tells them that he didn't give up Tommy's Dragon Power coin, and Zordon then has an idea to infuse the coin with his powers. This would allow Tommy to morph into the Green Ranger for a limited time, but it came with the massive risk of sacrificing Zordon in case the power ran out. Tommy manages to defeat Rita's minions, retrieving the Dragon Dagger and saving the Rangers' parents. Tommy also gets a considerable power boost while morphing, which allows him to continue working as the Green Ranger for a little more time. He then helped the Rangers defeat many villains, but he soon started having nightmares about losing his powers. Rita's accomplice, Zed, was responsible for sending him these nightmares, but Tommy knew that his future as a Ranger was short-lived. He still kept fighting alongside them until one day Zed kidnapped Tommy and teleported him to the Otherworld. Tommy meets Turban Shell in this other world, who proposes a fight, absorbs Tommy's remaining powers, and then uses them to capture the rest of the Power Rangers. Zed had used the special green crystal to absorb Tommy's powers, which weakened him to the extent that he lost all of his powers. Zed had plans to use the Rangers' powers to create an evil version of the Power Rangers, and he referred to them as the Evil Rangers. While Tommy put up a good fight and the Rangers even managed to defeat Turban Shell, the green crystal drained all of Tommy's powers, and he finally accepted that he could not work as a Ranger anymore. He still had hopes for his future, and he then decided to stay at his uncle's cabin for a week before returning to the Rangers. His fierce reappearance as the White Ranger. After being depowered, Tommy Oliver finally appeared as the White Ranger in the 17th episode of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. This episode is one of the most popular Power Rangers episodes of all time, as fans wholeheartedly cheered for Tommy Oliver as the White Ranger. While Tommy was out for a swim at the lake, he was summoned to the command center by Zordon. Zordon had teleported him there to talk about his plans to create a new Ranger from the white light of good. This white light would ensure that this Ranger could not be controlled by any evil, and no one could even steal his powers. Zordon further stated that Tommy would be the perfect person to become the White Ranger, and he was even handed a sentient sword named Sabar. After his transformation into the White Ranger, Tommy could control the White Tiger Zord, but he initially struggled to control his sword and his Zord. Eventually, Tommy perfected his new form and even fought alongside the other Rangers to defeat an evil entity named Nimrod, the Scarlet Sentinel. He still used to hang out with Kim and Billy and even made friends with a bunch of teenagers named Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. Eventually, these 3 teenagers were chosen to become the new Rangers when Jason, Zach, and Trini stepped down as the Power Rangers. Tommy's face-off with an evil Green Ranger. After Rita Repulsa married Zed, she sought the help of the Wizard of Deception to create an evil Green Ranger. Eventually, Tommy confronted this evil Green Ranger and even tracked down the wizard who had created him. After breaking the wizard's spell, the evil Ranger snapped out of his current state, and Tommy felt bad for him and let him stay with him. Tommy even started referring to him as Tom, but Tom soon decided that he didn't want to be a Ranger and gave up his powers. Tommy as the White Ninja Ranger. Over the course of time, the Rangers sought Ninjor, the person who was responsible for creating the original power coins. Tommy and the Rangers were then blessed with Ninja Ranger powers by Ninjor, and he then decided to work as the White Ninja Ranger. In this form, Tommy used to control the White Ninja Falcon Zord and often fought against his enemies, such as Rita Zed and Rita's brother, Rito Revolto. After some time, Tommy faced difficulty when Kimberly started having a hard time with her powers. She was even trapped in the Dark Dimension by Zed, and Tommy saved her and brought her back. He eventually learned that Kimberly's gymnastics coach wanted him to come to Florida with her, and he didn't want her to leave. However, he also didn't want to stand in the way of her goals, and she soon left after promising to stay in contact. Tommy Oliver in Power Rangers Zeo. Tommy appeared in the first episode of Power Rangers Zeo, wherein he teams with the other Rangers to find the repaired Zeo crystal. He often faces trouble in the form of Rita Repulsa and the new enemy force known as the Machine Empire. However, Tommy persists and also harnesses the power of the Zeo crystal to become the Red Zeo Ranger, who has the ability to control Zeo Zord 5 and the Red Battle Zord. While working as the Red Zeo Ranger, Tommy went through a rough patch when Kimberly broke up with him and found someone else. Catherine then tried to help Tommy move on by setting him up with one of her friends, but he eventually ended up going on a date with Catherine herself. He also kept having recurring dreams about a young man, and he finally completed a quest and came face to face with this man, who turned out to be his younger brother named David. Tommy was thrilled to have a new brother, but David soon ran away after losing a karate match to Tommy. Eventually, Tommy located his brother and asked him to come back, and even revealed his identity as the Red Zeo Ranger to him. He also appeared in various other story arcs wherein the Machine Empire's Prince Gasket brainwashed him. Gasket was making Tommy work for him, and he had even convinced Tommy to destroy the other Zeo Rangers. While Tommy attacked the Rangers, they all demorphed in front of him and turned into their human selves, which then helped Tommy break free from Gasket's manipulation. When he became the Red Turbo Power Ranger. After the events of the Zeo Rangers, the Machine Empire was mostly defeated, and Rita and Zed had also gotten rid of the remaining villains in the House of Gadgetry. However, the Rangers faced a new threat in the form of a space pirate named Divatox, and Tommy then took the mantle of the Red Turbo Power Ranger to defeat her. He works along with Justin Stewart, who becomes the Blue Turbo Ranger, and the two of them join hands to rescue Kimberly and Jason, who had been kidnapped by Divatox. He soon learned that Divatox intended to sacrifice them in a ritual to marry a monster named Maligore, and Tommy managed to rescue them and defeat her. As a Turbo Ranger, Tommy found a new interest in cars, and even started working in his uncle's stock car crew. He stopped working as a Ranger full-time and only appeared whenever his friends needed him the most. Eventually, the Rangers all decided to transfer their powers to a new generation of Rangers, and Tommy chose Theodore J., also known as TJ, as his successor. Tommy Oliver's life after stepping down as a Ranger. Tommy then decided to get a doctorate in paleontology from MIT, and he soon learned all about the dino gems that were left behind after an asteroid killed the dinosaurs. He realized that he must get these gems before they fell into enemy hands, and he met Haley Zictor, who helped him create the Dino Morphers. These devices enabled them to harness the gems' powers to create the Dino Thunder Power Rangers, and Tommy soon started working on various projects along with Terrence Smith and Anton Mercer. After Anton transforms into an evil creature known as Mesogog during an experiment, he tries to capture Tommy with the intention of killing him. While Tommy was unaware of this, he started working on the Dino Thunder powers and guided the Dino Rangers. Tommy Oliver in Power Rangers Wild Force. Tommy Oliver also returned in a special 10th anniversary episode titled Forever Red, wherein the Red Space Ranger Andros requires their help to defeat General Vengix. Vengix intends to reintroduce the Machine Empire, and Andros seeks Tommy Oliver's help to defeat him. Andros contacted Tommy when he was staying at a club named Bulkmire, and Tommy agreed to lead this mission and assembled all the Red Rangers to stop the Machine Empire. They all gather at the Nasada spaceport, where Tommy addresses the Red Rangers. He even meets the current Red Ranger, Cole Evans, and Jason shows up at the very last minute and declares that the mission would be incomplete without the first Red Ranger. Tommy and Jason catch up, and they soon board the Astro Megaship Mark II to travel to the moon and confront Venjix. Venjix sends his army of cogs to fight the Rangers while he tries to escape, and Tommy leads the fight against these cogs. He even defeats one of the Machine Empire generals named Gerok, while Cole gets rid of General Venjix by blowing his ship. As this special episode ends, Cole even addresses Tommy as the greatest Ranger ever, and they all soon part ways. He was a fierce presence in Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Tommy Oliver once again started working as a science teacher in a school in Reefside and came across 3 young students who uncovered his past as a Power Ranger. Tommy then decided to recruit them to become the Dino Rangers, and he soon got his hands on a new Dino Gem. Tommy then used the power of this gem to turn into the Black Dino Thunder Ranger and join the young kids to fight against villains like Mesogog. In the meantime, Mesogog had used his forces to create an evil clone of the current White Ranger, and Tommy sympathizes with him since he himself had a similar history as an evil ranger at the beginning of his career. However, this evil clone encased Tommy in amber, which then caused him to be stuck in his morphed form. Even in this form, Tommy decided that the Dino Rangers needed an upgrade, and he took one of them to the location of the Shield of Triumph. Tommy had hoped that this young man named Connor would be able to control the shield, and his hunch proved to be correct. Tommy soon managed to demorph through an experiment, but this process shattered his Dino Gem and left him in a coma. He then fought 3 internal battles with the Green, White, and Red Rangers within him, and he eventually woke up after the Dino Rangers all offered him a piece of his shattered Dino Gem. He then gained the Super Dino mode and led the Dino Rangers in a fight against Zeltrax. After destroying Zeltrax and even taking care of Mesogog, Tommy decided to retire as a Power Ranger for good. The return of Dr. Tommy Oliver. Almost a year after the Dino Thunder story arcs, Jack Thomas asked for Tommy's help to find the rest of the Hyperforce Rangers. Tommy agreed to help him, and they went on countless adventures around the North Pole in 1985, and finally returned to Reefside in 2005. Upon their return, they learn that Tommy's friend Haley has turned to the dark side, and that he's trying to destroy his newly built headquarters. They even learned that Haley was acting strangely because he was exposed to a strange gas, and Dr. Tommy Oliver then agreed to return as the Black Dino Ranger to look into this. Dr. Oliver headed to the cafe with the Rangers and learned that Rita's putties had planted a dangerous plant hybrid there. Oliver worked with the Rangers and summoned a Megazord to suppress the perfume of this plant hybrid, and they even worked on an antidote to undo its effects. Dr. Oliver was later sought by Dr. Anton Mercer, who required his help in dealing with a bunch of putties who had attacked him. Tommy's presence in SPD. Tommy was briefly mentioned in one of the episodes of Power Rangers SPD, wherein the SPD cadets learn all about his history and his service to their academy. When 3 of these cadets end up traveling back in time, one of these cadets named Kira mentions Tommy and wonders if they'll get to meet him. In one of these episodes, the story goes into the past at Reefside High, and we briefly see Tommy as the Black Dino Ranger as he fights against Zeltrax. During this fight, some Tyrannodrones and Crybots corner Tommy, and 3 SPD Rangers appear by his side and save him. Tommy then teamed up with one of these Rangers named Doggy Kruger to defeat Zeltrax. As these Rangers return to the present, they bid goodbye to Tommy, and it's unclear if they wiped his memories or left him in the past with some knowledge about the future. He appeared as one of the legendary Rangers in Power Rangers Super Megaforce. Tommy appeared in the Power Rangers Super Megaforce when an alien named Orion saw him in a vision and summoned him to create a Super Megaforce Gold Key. Tommy appeared as the Green and the White Ranger, and he even worked alongside the other legendary Rangers to defend Earth from an attack by Prince Vikar. When Vikar's father, Emperor Mavro, finally invaded Earth, Tommy reunited all the Rangers and ensured that Mavro's army of X-Borgs was defeated. His story arc in Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel. Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel was the 25th season of the Power Rangers, and it marked Tommy Oliver's return as the Black Dino Ranger. In this season, Tommy was married to Kat, and they even had a son named JJ. When Tommy was on his way to pick up JJ from school, he was captured by Lord Draven and taken to the Antiverse. Draven had set up a robot ranger factory and even captured many other legendary rangers, including Kat. Tommy then used his powers to morph into the Black Dino Ranger and then destroyed most of Draven's machines to clone robots. He then escaped the factory, used his invisibility powers to move around undetected, and soon located the Ninja Rangers. The Rangers were struggling to defeat Draven, and Tommy and the other legendary Rangers worked together to help them ensure Draven's defeat. Tommy's role in the Superpower Beatdown. Tommy Oliver appeared in various story arcs in the Superpower Beatdown, wherein he fought against a range of villains. He first assumed the form of the White Ranger to fight against Scorpion, and easily defeated him and left him in ashes. He later fought against an evil Ryu in the form of the Green Ranger, and used his Sword of Darkness to defeat him. Eventually, he appeared in the form of the Dragon Zord and fought against a giant kaiju Godzilla that was terrorizing the city. He appeared in Power Rangers Legacy Wars, Street Fighter Showdown. During this story arc, Rita Repulsa joined forces with M. Bison and infected the morphing grid, which had affected many of the Rangers. Tommy was one of the Rangers affected by this, and he was working as the Black Dino Ranger then. He then spots a clueless Ryu and starts attacking him until the Pink Time Force Ranger arrives and takes care of the situation. In the meantime, Tommy from the future was in a healthy condition, and he then recruited Gia Moran to defeat Rita and restore the grid. Ryu and Chun-Li also meet up with them at a temple, and Tommy tells them about Rita and how she has revived Bison and messed up the morphing grid. Tommy even gives Ryu the one last power coin, and Ryu accepts it and becomes a ranger. However, they were unaware that Bison was monitoring them from afar, and they soon get cornered by him. Tommy tries to use his martial arts training, but M. Bison manages to defeat him. While Bison brags about his strength, Gia and Ryu also morph into their new forms and work together to defeat Bison and take care of the situation. Tommy's future story arcs. Sometime in the future, Tommy worked at the Bridgetown Township High School as a science teacher. However, he was soon laid off due to a lack of funds, while his son JJ also became an adult and joined the SPD cadets. Tommy struggled to deal with old age and some health problems due to his injuries when his son went suspiciously missing. Tommy went out to search for him and finally learned that JJ was working undercover for the SPD and that they were trying to track down a witch named Scorpina. Tommy and JJ work together to defeat her, and Tommy then gives his Dragon Shield to JJ, the new SPD Green Ranger. In a non-canon story arc, Tommy was married to Catherine, and they also had 2 grandchildren who became Power Rangers too. What was White Ranger like? Tommy Oliver was a brave, strong, and dedicated individual who always gave his all to any mission or task. He was willing to sacrifice himself to reach his goals, and he was often too hard on himself as he strived for perfection in anything he did. He worked hard to improve himself, often overexerting himself or others. He was also quite hot-headed, and he sometimes picked fights with the other Rangers if he felt threatened. He even felt like he didn't fit in with the other Rangers due to his history as the evil Green Ranger, and he was also fearful of his alternate timeline versions, which had turned out to be evil. Tommy was quite skilled with technology, and had even managed to preserve his consciousness in the morphing grid after his death. He had been through innumerable fights, missions, and traumatic experiences, but he had always managed to come out of them as an even stronger individual. As the White Ranger, Tommy Oliver had enhanced speed and strength and was also immune to magical spells or injuries. He wore a special suit of armor, which was made of white and gold metal. He could also reflect light and then use the reflection to create blasts and explosions, and he could even shoot lasers in some forms. In his White Ninja Ranger form, Tommy Oliver could perform various ninja techniques, and he wore a comfortable white ninja suit that covered him from head to toe.
Oh, really?
Some of the other notable White Rangers. The White Ranger was initially created due to Tommy Oliver's popularity among fans, who wished to see him appear alongside the Power Rangers after he lost his Green Ranger powers. However, various other individuals have also picked up the mantle of the White Ranger over time. Among the 9 White Rangers so far, there have been 5 women, and Delphine was one of these White Rangers who was also the first female to be a Power Ranger leader. Delphine was from the planet of Aquitar, and she was one of the alien Rangers who made her first appearance in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers after the Earth Rangers required their help. While Tommy Oliver was initially an evil entity working for Rita Repulsa, Trent Fernandez Mercer was another White Ranger who almost served as an antagonist for half a season. He eventually earned the Rangers' trust and joined their team as a White Ranger. Another female White Ranger was Alyssa Enrile, who appeared in the Power Rangers White Force. She was quite a powerful Ranger who could command various Wild Zords, such as the White Tiger, Elephant, and Deer. She was also the most friendly member of the Wild Force Rangers, and she eventually went on to become a kindergarten teacher. One of the most famous White Rangers was Kat Manx, who was a humanoid who worked alongside the SPD's Earth Delta base. She often created new technology and weapons for the Rangers, and wore a white and orange costume. While she has been referred to as a White Ranger in the comics, the video games refer to her as an Orange Ranger. In any case, Kat used a temporary morpher to turn into the White Ranger and help the SPD in their missions. The White Power Rangers were also important characters with special story arcs that were given a lot of attention. One such example is Udana, who first acted as a mentor to the Rangers in Power Rangers Mystic Force before finally stepping in as a Ranger. Udana even relied on magic rather than technology to fight her opponents, and she was an extremely powerful sorceress who had even recruited the Mystic Rangers on her own.
Let her go.
To sum it up, many characters have played the role of the White Ranger over time, and they all have their special characteristics. However, Tommy Oliver remains the most iconic White Ranger of all time and is still fondly remembered by fans. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Ah!